Hello everyone. Sorry about that. That was a bit of a technical glitch. I think I had the wrong. I did have not. I think I did have the wrong live stream, and I clicked on live on the February one, so I have to reset that one up again. So sorry about the delay, and welcome everyone to PyLadies Dublin's first meetup of 2021. And I think I forgot to mention this in the wrong live stream. Happy New Year to everyone. What I'm gonna do was this evening we have a speaker from imagiLabs, but before that, as usual, me, Vicky, one of the co-organizers of PyLadies, alongside Lay, who's helping me out on live chat. I will be going through kind of thank you sponsors and announce some events that are coming up. So let's switch to that. Okay, take two. Sorry again to everyone. So um, so Lay, if there's anything else that's going wrong, just let me know in my ear. um, okay, I want to thank our sponsors. So Manning Publications. This month they haven't sponsored. We don't have any books to raffle this month. But their 35% discount code is still valid. So it's valid till February. So you can paste it from a few other PyLadies ago. So MTP PyLadies 20 is the code, and you need to visit this link to avail of the 35% discount. I also like to say thank you to Dublin Maker, who runs Annual Maker Festival, and I'm their maker advocate. And they definitely will be running a Maker Festival this summer. I'll be involved, so I'll let you know when I've got updates on that. As I mentioned earlier, we have our guest speaker is Beatrice Ionascu, who will talk about creative coding in Python, and CTO and co-founder of imagiLabs. So if you have any questions, do post them on live chat on YouTube. As I can see that you're all chatting away there, which is fantastic. So her co-worker Nadia is there as well, so she can answer some questions. And we can also take some of the questions, also ask Beatrice after her talk this evening. So this is the agenda. So yes, we're a bit delayed because of my technical hiccup. Once I finish this announcement, I'm gonna ask Nadia to introduce herself, and she'll say a few words before Beatrice gives her talk this evening. Just a quick highlight that we're on Dev2, and if you want to write some Python articles and want to share with us, let me know, and I'll send you. I think there's a kind of a key or a secret key or whatever it is that I can send to you that you can join the PyLadies group on Dev. As always, we're looking for speakers for PyLadies. Next month, we already have a speaker. So in March, we are not having a meetup because it's too close to St. Patrick's Day. So from April onwards, if you want to give a talk, a lightning talk, a demo of something cool you found, library of a project you're working on, or want to do kind of a tech demo, or say a few words, or you want to give a long talk, just drop us your talk details on that type form. By the way, this document, I keep forgetting to mention that this document can be found on the meetup page. It's a crypt pad. So all the stuff I'm going through right now, you can find on that crypt pad. The next PyLadies, as I said, we do have a speaker for February. It's a talk by Nandita Sharma on automatic multi-class news classifications using deep learning and word embedding with natural language processing technology. The meetup page is already up there, so if you're interested, you can RSVP for that event, and I'll fix up that February live stream. I have to get rid of that and put in a new one. For other Python related events, Python Ireland will have their meetup on they have their meetups on the second Wednesday of each month. So the next one is on February 10th. Head over to python.ie, and they're also on meetup as well. If you want to find out details of their meetups. So there's some diversity-related events coming up, like Women DevOps in a couple of days. There's a big one called, I think I mentioned this already, didn't get a chance. This link here, down here, is meant to go up here. It's called the Global Diversity CFP Day. And they are doing a global event. They're not having workshops, but they're having speakers. So there's no in-person events. We normally have one in Dublin. Um, uh, as part of Global Diversity CFP Day. So if you want to give a talk, and this would be a good place to find out how to write uh, your abstract and submit your talk, and then how to prep for the talk, to giving a talk, and how to handle questions and answers and all that. So it's a free event. I highly recommend it because I've been involved in that for a couple of years. But this year, I'm not involved at all. Sorry, apologies about that. I will fix all these links. The Tech Women Dublin asked me anything. They're on Meetup. They haven't asked me anything. I'm a tech recruiter, so I will fix that link for you. And that's on. I think that's probably an old one because the dates are all completely wrong. I think January. January is not a great start for me. Bye, ladies. Apologies to everyone. But this definitely is right. Is the Women in Code Belfast? They're doing a lot of events every month. One of them is like a main big event, and then they have their morning event called Bites and Brew as well. So all these events on Meetup. I will fix up this script pad with all the events. So, and then one final thing is Python Ireland. On the same day as the Global Diversity Call for Paper Day. They're also doing a new speakers coaching program. So you can check out, go to Python Ireland Meetup, and you can find out information about that event as well. So it is a kind of general new speakers coaching program. Again, help you to kind of I suppose help you prepare your talk and public speaking. And I think they have an expert in to help you do that. So that's the end of my announcements. And now again, I will fix that page. So what I'll do now, I'm gonna switch over to where all our speakers, all guests are, and we'll have Nadia give a shout out to herself. Give me a second. So Beatrice, can you unshare your slides, please? Yeah. So there you go. I think Nadia's there. You there? Hello. Would you like to say a few words and who you are, and have the floor now?
I just wanted to plug that I am the partnerships manager of imagiLabs, which means that I'm looking for educational partners, whether that's a nonprofit or a school teacher, or any individual even who wants to support our mission in any way. Please reach out to me afterwards. My email will be at the end of the presentation. I will let Beatrice take it away now.
So I'm going to leave the floor to you now, Beatrice. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is very exciting. Thank you, Vicky and Nadia, for coming up with this awesome idea. And thank you, Lei, and the rest of the PyLadies Dublin community for having us. So I will be talking about imagiLabs' approach for teaching Python to beginners. But before I start, I will first introduce myself and tell you a little bit more about imagiLabs. So just to expand on what Nadia said with some slides. So my name is Beatrice. I'm an engineer. I studied electrical engineering for my bachelor's and machine learning for my master's, which speaks to the fact that my passions range between electronics and machine learning. And I'm also an educator. I'm really passionate about education, and I've taught kids programming and other subjects for several years. I think what I enjoy the most is sparking kids' curiosity for technology and STEM in general. Because I believe that technology is so important for the future, and everyone should have the opportunity to discover how interesting these subjects are. So now I'm able to combine my interest in both engineering and education at imagiLabs, a startup that I founded together with my two incredible co-founders, Dora and Paula, who I think they are watching this. So thank you for the troubleshooting. And yeah, our mission at imagiLabs, as Nadia mentioned, is to empower girls to create with technology and be part of a movement to shape the future. It started with a research project that our CEO was doing during her master's at KTH here in Stockholm. where the prompt was to create something that levels the playing field for an underrepresented group. My co-founders and I, and now actually our entire team, is very passionate about bringing more women and more diversity in tech. But I won't talk too much today about the gender gap in tech and the importance of fixing it, as I'm sure that this topic is familiar to everyone here. I can maybe summarize our take on this by saying that at imagiLabs, we believe that the way to get more women in tech is to inspire and educate girls early. Several studies actually have shown that girls and boys have a similar interest in technology until about the age of 11, but girls' interest drops significantly by the age of 16. Because of this, we have decided to focus on this critical age range. Our goal is to engage girls when they are most likely to be interested in technology and use the power of community and shared interests to maintain their engagement as they get older. Our thesis is that by providing tools and a community at the right age and doing so through a scalable solution, we can contribute to equipping and empowering the next generation of female engineers, developers, and tech founders. Starting from the initial research, we have worked together with girls to try to level the playing field for them in technology. Over the years, we talked to hundreds of girls. We wanted to understand what is keeping them away from coding, what are the things that girls like, and how we could bring coding into that. How could we make coding a natural part of their everyday lives? We found out that they loved self-expression and customization, socializing and having a community around their interests, tangible experiences, and their phones, which is true for all teenagers and kids, not just girls. Bringing this all together, we came up with a solution, an app that teaches coding in Python on the phone. It has a code editor where you can write Python code, you can run it, even debug it to some extent. You can preview it either in the app or by uploading it to your imagiCharm. And it also has a community where you can share your projects, see other people's projects, including their code, and try it out. In a sense, it's you can think of this explore section as a combination between Instagram and GitHub. And finally, there are tutorials that guide you from writing your first line of code to making your code project blink together with your favorite song, or to visualizing your heartbeat, just to name a few examples. And finally, the imagiCharm, which you have seen already. So this is our so-called hook that draws you into coding. It's a smart accessory that you can customize by coding in the imagiLabs app. And it enhances the experience of coding by making it tangible, by letting you display your code on this 8x8 grid of LEDs. So you can program it to display anything from your name to an emoji to show you your mood, for example, to a hand washing PSA, which I'm not sure if you can see very well, but this is a project that I made almost a year ago, but it's unfortunately still relevant. So everyone wash your hands. Yeah, with the imagiCharm, you learn to program and build your own accessory at the same time. And what can be more fun than that? So for the rest of this talk, I will show you how exactly we teach Python with the imagiLabs app and why this is effective and how it sparks the creativity of kids and teenagers. We teach, as I said already, a real programming language, as opposed to block-based coding, which is popular among tools for kids. We believe that if there is a way to learn to program directly in a real programming language, then there is no reason why one shouldn't do it. The only requirement really is to be able to read and write. And why Python? Well, because it's a great language for getting started with programming. It works whether someone is a complete beginner and has never programmed before, or if somebody is moving up from a simple block-based language like Scratch. It's easy to read and write. It has well-written documentation. Many schools and universities use it to teach coding. And it's really easy to pick up, yet powerful and versatile. And as a result, it's equally popular with students and professionals. Now, teaching a real programming language to beginners is a great idea as long as we make it really easy to get started so that anyone without any previous knowledge can get started on their own. From this perspective, it can feel a bit overwhelming to start with Python because it is so powerful and versatile, and there are so many different things that Python can be used for. It might be difficult to figure out where exactly to get started, especially if you're doing it on your own. So we introduce it in a way that there is no setup, no overhead. We don't have to worry about different Python distributions and Python versions, where they are installed and so on. A 9-year-old can download this app, open it, and start coding. Besides removing the setup overhead, another way to lower the barrier to entry is by making the programming experience itself not intimidating. And if colorful LEDs and pixels don't make programming seem approachable, then I don't know what else will. um, I hope people agree. So now programming can also often feel like a black box. You write something and you don't really understand how it works. But by making the result visual and having these very quick feedback loops, we give the learner the possibility to right away see the effect of any change that they make in the code, which is very useful in the learning process. Of course, learning to code is easier if you're having fun. So we try to make the learning fun and connected to cultural trends and kids and teenagers' interests. And finally, something I wanted to note is that the app can be used without the imagiCharm accessory. And actually, all of the above are applicable to the app and how we teach programming. But the reason we have the imagiCharm is because having a physical element, this programmable accessory, adds an extra thrill, extra motivation, and purpose. How does it work? And what do we teach, actually? So one of our users, when asked what the imagiLabs app had taught her, responded with matrix coding. And I guess, yes, she was so focused on the matrix that she forgot that she was actually learning Python. And I know that a lot of you watching this are Python experts, but you're probably not familiar with matrix coding. So let me explain how it works. The core of the programming that we do in the imagiLabs app is indeed this 8x8 matrix. And you can access the pixels on this matrix through their indices using the in-app Python editor. We introduce this using a parallel with a chessboard, where each location of a piece is given by the letter and number on the side of the chessboard. It works exactly the same with the matrix M. We just have to identify the row and column index and then decide what we want to do with that pixel. So if we want to turn something on, this is the line of code that we would write to turn a single pixel on. And this is how we would set a pixel to a specific color. This is actually the building block. Once you understood this, you can create any design. For example, a smiley face, or your initial, or a heart. So far, so good. But do we really have to go through the effort of individually programming every single pixel to create some simple pixel art? What if we wanted to program a rainbow? How would we do that? So this is where actually, after having worked hard to turn single lights on, our users start appreciating that they can learn programming concepts that will allow them to be more efficient and effective, which is, after all, what computers are good at, and that's what we are here to learn. By using a for loop, we can program this rainbow in just 8 lines of code instead of individually programming each of the 64 pixels. Using for loops, we can also program flags. So I can, for example, program a flag to show that I'm half Romanian and half Hungarian. But since we are at PyLadies Dublin, here is also an Irish flag. By using conditional statements, we can create even cooler and more complex flags, for example, Trinidad and Tobago, or Tanzania, or Jamaica. Once we learn about the RGB color model, we learn to create our own colors using a new sequence type called the tuple. So here in this example, I use 2 custom colors defined at the top of the code. The one is for the bolts color and one is for the shade. color. And then I use those to individually set the colors of the pixels of the shape. By using functions, we can easily reuse our code. So we can learn about functions and create different shapes and change the shape's color by calling the function with different color arguments. For example, here I can make a purple heart and easily change it to an orange one just by changing the argument with which I call the function. We can also use functions to create shapes, not only with different colors, but also different locations. So this is actually part of the imagiLabs logo, and it was created using the square function that takes 3 arguments: the color, the starting row, and the starting column of a small square. And then I can repeatedly call it with different arguments in order to create multiple little squares of different colors. In a very similar way, we can also, well, actually, we can expand that function and add another parameter to control the size of a square. So slowly, we can keep adding more and more complex functionality and create functions that allow us to create more complex shapes faster. We learned that we can iterate not just over rows and columns like we did so far, but also lists of colors. So this code shows how to write a rainbow in just 4 lines, as opposed to 8 or 64 that we had before. Keeping the best to the end, animations. So we learned to create an animation object and add the contents of the matrix M as frames to the animation. This is actually where kids' creativity explodes. Here are some examples of what our users are creating, and to be honest, these things have gone way beyond our expectation and imagination. So I can give you a couple of seconds to take it all in. Okay, so here you can see that some of our users create beautiful colored animations through art pieces, while others like numbers and equations and are turning the imagiCharm into a dice that randomly generates a number using the random Python library. We have created this interface that our users can program, but how do they actually learn? To formalize what I've been talking about for the past few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to the imagiLabs learning philosophy. This has guided our teaching process both in person through workshops before last year. Actually, we've been doing a lot of online workshops as well. So yeah, both through workshops, but also through the app. And it's based on a couple of well-known theories with great names, constructivism and constructionism. So constructivism is a theory of learning formulated by the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget, who was known for his work on child development. And this theory conceives of learning as a process in which learners create knowledge in their minds as they interact with things and people in the world around them. Constructionism is similar, as you expect. It was a concept devised later by the epistemology and learning group at the MIT Media Lab, and it extends the constructivism theory to include the idea that a good way to support the building of knowledge in one's head is to actually build something in the real world, whether that's a computer program, a robot, a drawing, a story, or musical composition. So guided by these two theories, we use various principles in our teaching model. One of these is discovery learning, which means allowing users to tinker with code, modify others' projects, and receive instant feedback when it comes to the context of our app. We have this explore section in the app, which is a feed of projects made by our users, as I briefly showed before. And other users can tap on these projects, discover the code behind them, customize them, and make them their own. We often have middle school students doing 1-week internships with us. This is very common here in Sweden. And Elise, one of our past interns, showed us this amazing animation she created of a rising sun that you can see here on the left side. She had found the app actually through our Instagram page and created this completely on her own without any guidance from us or the app actually, because back then we didn't have a lot of tutorials in the app. And when we asked her how she learned how to make it, we found that she checked out some of the projects that were shared in the app previously and deduced on her own how to create animations using our framework. She essentially discovered the joy of finding someone else's code and adapting it to fit your own needs. So maybe this explore section of the app is more like Stack Overflow after all, not only Instagram and GitHub. In any case, this took quite a bit of coding. And when we asked her what motivated her to create this, she said, I just felt like coding. It's a nice answer to hear, but not everyone learns like Elise. So actually, one of the criticisms of constructivism comes from the lack of empirical data to support the teaching technique of pure discovery. We also think that guided discovery is more effective, especially for beginners. And we provide guided tutorials both in the app and as self-paced lessons that students can go through on their own. They start with the basic building block of turning on just one pixel, just like I showed earlier, and step by step guide the learner on an exploratory journey through which they can discover more and more advanced and interesting concepts. Helpful error messages provided in the code editor, like the one shown in the last screenshot, are also an example of guidance. In this case, the code has an RGB value that is too high. So the error message reminds the user that it should be between 0 and 255. We encourage students to try multiple times first and understand how a specific code snippet works by tinkering with it. For example, when we introduce the for loop used to create the rainbow, we prompt users to make changes to the code that they are given and see the result. They can play with the range bounds to understand how the ranges work, change how the call variable is used, like shown in this example, and much more. If the student doesn't understand every detail, it doesn't matter. Learning to memorize theories and other formal representations of knowledge strips away the meaning. Instead, the more projects the student creates, the more chances they will have to understand and the better they will get. Another example is the matrix M, which is the first thing that the student learns about. M is a list of lists, but we don't formally introduce the concept of lists until much later in the coding journey, when the student has already encountered and used them on different occasions and has probably already created this knowledge in her mind as she interacted with lists. When students have intrinsic motives for learning, when they engage not for external reward like grades and status, but because they find the activity itself interesting and gratifying, they become more likely to attach meaning to their work, explore new topics, and also persist in the face of learning challenges. We make the learning relevant as we believe that this provides intrinsic motivation. This is why we embed cultural trends into the learning. We do this through various coding challenges, a recent one being a holiday themed coding challenge. Maybe we should do a finally 2020 is over challenge. And we also had a coding for the climate challenge recently, and one of our users submitted this animation of Greta Thunberg and the planet. We have actually came up with a plan now to even do this more often. So our next challenge, I believe, is launching tomorrow. So stay tuned if you would like some extra prompts for programming for yourself as well. Besides challenges, we also prompt users by sharing some of our own examples. Like for example, this hand washing project, which I also showed on the imagiCharm that you can see on the left side. Also the Among Us animation from the left side were created by our team. And as a response, we've had users create mask emojis, more Among Us animations, but also so many other things that they like and are interested in, like characters from Minecraft and favorite movies and app icons of the apps that they like, and so much more. Another principle that we embrace is that there are multiple correct representations of knowledge, or different ways of reaching the same outcome. If I go back to the rainbow example, we covered 3 different ways of making a rainbow. First, by setting the color of each pixel, which I don't show here, but you can imagine what it would look like. Then the second, using a single for loop. And the third, introducing the concept of nested for loops and a color list. There is no one right answer to creating this rainbow, or to creating anything for that matter. The idea of the learning process is to have the opportunity to explore and learn about the different possible answers. In this case, the different ways to code to achieve the desired result. And of course, eventually one will learn the advantages of one approach over the other, but that comes much later. A final learning principle, which isn't derived from constructionism and constructivism, but is one that we believe is very, very important, is to learn together with a community of like-minded people. We saw strong proof of this through our imagiGirl ambassadors, who were some of the earliest members of our community, and have learned together and built friendships through the process of learning to code. And we are now working on scaling this through our in-app community, and are hoping to be able to replicate this many, many times with girls around the world. These are the main principles that we are incorporating in teaching creative coding in Python. And I'd like to finish my talk with this quote by Steve Blank. "Disruption on the first day always looks like a toy." We have developed this method of learning creative coding in Python with the imagiLabs app and the imagiCharm to act as a hook. Our approach is something that will spark kids and teenagers' curiosity and attention, get them interested, and after they get hooked, they can keep learning beyond their phone and the imagiCharm. If you would like to hear more about anything that I talked about, I believe we have some minutes for discussion. And more questions on the live stream, which I haven't been following, but I see that people have been asking questions and responding. So thank you so much for that. And both Nadia and I are happy to also continue conversations after the event. So just to reach out to us. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
That's great. I'm just gonna switch back to everyone mode. So if you unshare your slides, please. Yeah. So that's great. Thanks for the talk. Yeah, there's a lot of bit of chatter on the screen, but so I will have to rely on Lay to see, because my the screen where all the live chat is actually on that side of me. I can't see anymore, so I was looking at it. So if there's any kind of questions, or even Nadia, you want to just jump in, because I've seen some questions being answered and you having a chat there. There's one thing that comes to mind when I was playing around with the imagiCharm when I got it was, have you thinking of, like, in future iterations of having sensors where you can get feedback? So say temperature sensors, like, oh, I'm freezing, going out in the cold, and changes color, or it's really or maybe it's kind of raining and it kind of it detects the weather that has changed or something like that, and you get it kind of gives you a little wee weather forecast on your imagiCharm as you go, and you that kind of thing, it's kind of adding sensors to it, kind of feedback. So at the moment, from your coding kind of a lot of using the matrix programming, and it gets sent to your charm, and it displays all the cool animations and images and stuff that you created. But in the future, would there be kind of something where you're gonna have sensors and you have kind of more even more interaction?
That's a great question, and actually, I think that's probably the question that we get most often. And the answer is, yeah, I think that's a great idea. We also have some ideas ourselves, but I think as a first step, something that we could explore is actually using the sensors in the phone. So since you are connecting to the imagiCharm and programming it from the phone, you could also use some of the sensors, like um, gyroscope or accelerometer in your phone, even the microphone, who knows? So that's definitely an exciting thing to explore.
You can imagine like what they can think of. So say sensors of location where you're on the GPS and
Mm-hmm.
you're nearing, if you're nearing somewhere, like if you coded something where you're near home or something, or you're nearing a shop, or remember to pick up something, or nearing a friend's house and they have an Imagi charm and they both announce each other saying, hey, we're nearby, or something, like their own doorbell kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that case of kind of Imagi charms communicating with each other could also be achieved in different ways, but just the devices themselves, sensing each other. So we have a lot of creative ideas. Unfortunately, they are limited by the difficulties of making hardware. So we're trying to become creative with how much we can do with the hardware that we already have first, and then look into kind of new products or new versions of this product.
Lei, is there any kind of
Yeah.
questions?
No, I think all the questions has been answered. The
So I
last,
forgot.
yeah.
Sorry, I realized I wasn't actually on screen, so I forgot to press the button. So I suppose kind of do you have any? So I suppose I think I still see things popping up there on the chat. Can you read some of the comments? I suppose I think that people have been talking about, or
So
even
I
Nadia,
think
if you
the
want to.
last open question is, once a student caps out their learning with the animations, like goes through all tutorials, are there pointers to continue learning? If so, what are the next topics suggested?
That's also a great question. So as I said at the end of my talk, we've kind of envisioned this as a hook, and that's kind of what we see it in the current state. So learning to code on your phone, of course, eventually you would want to kind of move up and start coding on your computer, which is why using Python in our product right now is such a great choice, because you can go with exactly what you learned, the Python that you learned in the app, and already start writing and creating simple scripts and apps on your computer, and use the same language that you learned for different purposes. And of course, there's a lot of resources out there. And I guess we could recommend some. So that's actually a good idea for advanced users to recommend that. We also are hoping to be able to do some content partnerships ourselves with other companies that we admire. So other female-funded companies on topics like, for example, using different like APIs, integrating with an app like Clue that tracks, for example, health data and kind of learn to visualize that, which is also something that you can use Python for, or learn about APIs through integrating with Spotify. So yeah, there's unlimited things that you can do with Python.
So Nadia, do you have
Thank you.
anything to add to that? As in general, with the live chat that you've been going, as you've seen the live chat going through while Beatrice wasn't talking.
Just to Beatrice's last point, some of the educational partnerships we're in are sort of more informal, or we have really enthusiastic teachers who've also are able themselves to come up with content. So we'll see where that leads us in the next 6 months to a year, to see if we have any individuals who are collaborating with us to come up with, more difficult levels of what we can do with the imagiCharm.
So have you, probably a question I don't know if you can answer, have you any kind of plans to come to Ireland? I know you if everyone who don't know, like they're all based in, they're calling all the way from Sweden, so it's amazing. So it's really, really thanks, and really nice of both of them.
Vicky, I will say that thanks to you, I've been in touch with several different folks in Ireland, someone from Coding Ireland, several teachers, and yes, our short term, I mean, like, yes is the short answer. Right now, can we physically visit? No, but, whenever we're able to travel, happy to bring over some charms and do a pop-up somewhere if you would like to organize that.
We'll definitely organize a special events, and I'll pull in like Python Ireland as well, or the Python community, definitely. And we do, like if we ever have in-person events, we do have PyCon Ireland here in Normie, happens in autumn time, but I really don't know what's gonna happen with the restrictions and stuff. So so for the moment, I suppose yeah, and also don't forget EuroPython is coming to Dublin in 2022. So there's always a chance we'll see you if we can't see you this year. So that's great. And yeah, and I'm delighted to be of help any way I can. So that's great news. So is there anything else there, Lei?
Yeah, we have one more question. A short question. Was it difficult decision to use Python directly?
Sorry, I didn't understand the first part of the question. If it
So,
was.
so the question is, was it a difficult decision to use Python directly?
No, we love Python.
I suppose the question would be like, how many other different languages did you consider before you
Yeah.
you picked Python for this product?
Well, the long answer or the to that is also that we didn't consider that many in the beginning. We kind of started with Python because we all knew of Python or knew Python ourselves. Actually, I think in the founding team, yeah, everybody knows Python. So that's the language that some of us had learned as a first language in school, and it is used for beginners a lot. So we thought it was a natural choice. Of course, later in the process, we did kind of think about other languages, and this does come up sometimes if we're planning to teach other languages. But we do think that there's so much that you can do just with this one language that for now we don't really see a need or a reason why we should change to something else.
Right. And I think
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for that. I don't have any other kind of questions. I think my big one was just is there kind of additional features in the future? That was my thing because I'd love to see more stuff happening with the Imagi Charm. And it's just I'm actually overwhelmed with all the updates from all the kids when they do stuff. When you go onto the app on the phone and you see all these updates, and it's just amazing what a lot of the kids do, what they code. Because I'd be sitting there going, "What do I do? What will I code now? What kind of animation will I make?" And they seem to have the patience in kids. You would think kids would be very impatient, but no, they're very patient and really get down to it, don't they? And from seeing all the uploads of all the different projects, just blows my mind. So it's amazing. Well done to all of you, encouraging so many people. Have fun as well. And visual is a very big
Thank
thing. A
you.
visual being very visual about it is very big, and how to teach kids as well, because I'm a very visual person myself. So it's kind of a nice way to approach something that's coding. So area where everyone thinks it's just reams and reams of just text and stuff, whereas there's like something that can actually teach coding visually as I know there's kind of scratch and stuff, but it's nice to see kind of a completely different way of teaching.
Yeah, that's actually what we wanted to try to see how could it work if the output is visual, but not necessarily the coding itself. You can use text-based programming, so Python, and just have a visual and quick results, so quick feedback loops.
Okay, great. So late, is that good? Because I can't see the chat from where I am.
That's all good. No more questions.
I think people are quite I think some people are kind of quite happy with the talk, and and just I suppose just as I think they're just really kind of excited because it's just so colorful, especially all the examples you're showing. And at the beginning you were showing us the charm. I have a charm as well, as I think I should try to show people, but my one is actually out of battery. I actually do have it. So I told people I was I when I heard about you in PyLadies, someone mentioned you in PyLadies global Slack, and you were doing Kickstarter at the time, and I think you're nearing about a week or two or week or something before the end of your Kickstarter. So I think a whole bunch of us jumped on board. just
Yeah,
just
that was
because
great. Yeah, thank you so much for that.
we don't have many Python stuff, so Python related kind of projects like that. So yeah. I think that is near the end of our session. I would like to hold on. For some reason, I have a trackpad beside me, and I accidentally clicked on full screen on my other machine, and I can't see a thing. Okay, now I'm back again. Sorry about that. Technical glitches ahoy this evening, but that's the charm of the first meetup. But I would like to say a big thanks to Beatrice for giving us a talk. To Nadia, sorry for having you talking on mute. People will have to learn lip reading as well. That's part of our
No
meetup.
worries.
But we got you back in again. So if people want to, I know Beatrice also put up your contact details there, but if you want to just in general, people want to get in contact with imagiLabs, what's the email, kind of web address, things like that, just to shout out?
Everything. You can add me on LinkedIn personally, Nadia Garfunkel. You can follow us on social, anything.
Okay, great stuff. So, have you anything else to add before we kind of close off this session? imagiLabs? Nope.
Just thank you for having us.
Thank you for your time and dropping in. Again, apologies for the start, but now it makes this different. And thank you. I also want to say thanks to Lei for helping me out. I know I've seen all the missed messages about the people not hearing and wrong streams and stuff like that. So so thank you for your help, and thank you to my other half, Michael, for running up 2 flights of stairs, up and down, trying to make sure that telling me that I have tech glitches up here as well, and jumping over the sofa behind me. That was him. So I will like to say thanks to everyone who joined us this evening. And again, if you would like to, I'm just gonna pop over to my kind of announcement slide there, so I can show you to remind you our next event. There you go. It's on Tuesday, February 16th. And if you're interested in deep learning and natural language processing, Benedita Sharma, just drop over the meetup, PyLadies Dublin on meetup.com. And yeah, and don't forget, I have to do this. To tell everyone to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook. I think we're on Instagram as well. I'm trying to use that, but there's just so many things happening, right? So many things to juggle. But yeah, thank you for all your support. So till next month, and get in contact with me. Email dublin@pyladies.com if you need to talk or ask questions or want me to introduce you to folks and things like that. So thanks again to everyone. Have a good evening, and
thank you.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.